Welcome back. Paradise is on tap as we have come to the islands. If you are wed to the water, no need to look further. But on land, the action is in the sand. Get set to hang loose. Kick back, shaka brudda. It is all good. It is time for the AVP men. We are at Queens Beach. It is now time for the men's semifinal action. Craig Hummer, Chris McGee, and Mary Strong. He's done it once before, but now it is time, of course, to go to the kahuna again. Geeter, give us the intros.
Ladies and gentlemen, Queens Beach, Honolulu, Hawaii, are you ready for a little men's semifinal? We'll start with the 8th seed, the kid born and raised in Los Angeles, California, on to UCLA, two-time national champion. Last year participating in the Olympic Games for Australia, finished in 4th place. Say hello to the young, talented Marc William Willie. And his partner growing up right here in Honolulu, Hawaii, went to Puno High School, 3 state championships, on to Pepperdine University, a 3-time All-American. Ladies and gentlemen, say hello, Scotty Wong. Other side of the net, born and raised East Beach, Santa Barbara, California, went to UC Santa Barbara. He was an All-American center, known as the Professor. 11 open wins, and the 2004 Best Defensive Player. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, say hello to Team Raj, Todd Rogers. And his partner, you know him, he played right here for the University of Hawaii, and last year in front of you, he took home Best of the Beach. The reigning champion, say hello, Sean Scott!
Let's join the 3rd member of our broadcast team one more time. She is Mary Strong. Mary, what do you have for us?
Well, Craig, I think the H in Hawaii stands for hot and humid. The temperatures are in the 80s, but don't let that fool you. It's 90% humidity down here on center court, so these teams are really battling the heat out here today. Also, we have a very deep center court, much deeper than we've seen all season long. It's not a fast-moving surface at all. You'll notice there's deep holes that the players tend to get stuck in a lot, so they're facing a few challenges out here today other than having to beat their opponent.
Thanks, Mary. Well, we see that weather graphic. The temps, as you mentioned, in the 80s. That humidity, though, will play a factor. We saw the women get very tired in their semifinal. And, of course, what else would you expect? The sunny forecast. Light winds, though, coming offshore. And, Geeter, as we take a look at the rules, once again, it's going to be a good one.
Well, it's best 2 out of 3 games. The first 2 games are played to 21 points. If we go to a 3rd game, it's played to 15. It's rally scoring, which means a point per play, and you must win each game by 2 points.
That 2-point cushion, ever so important. We saw one of the games, didn't we, early rounds go to 33-31. What a game that was. But as we see, the first service, T-Raj, Todd Rogers, puts it in play. Off the hands, first point will go to Marc Williams and Scott Wong. On your introduction, we got some stats. Scotty Wong making his home in Venice, California these days, graduate of Pepperdine University. And for beach volleyball, man, 26 years of age, that's a youngster.
Oh, he's just a young pup and playing a lot of defense now behind the block of Marc Williams. He told me today, I'm now considered a small guy. He's about 6'5".
That's what's happened to this men's game, that is for sure. Just inside the antenna and inside the line. Good for a tie score. That was Sean Scott putting it down. The local hero, now living in Manhattan Beach, of course, with Rachel Wachholder being one of those elite couples, so to speak, of the AVP. But what a year this man has had.
Finishing it up with a win in Colorado and Chicago.
We'll talk about that a little bit more, but yes, he and his partner Todd Rogers have really finished strong. Off the block, and he does that so well. Sean Scott, 6th this season in blocks.
Good Sean, he's so strong after a great jump serve, gets right to the net and absolutely presses. His shoulders are over the net.
Off the tape for Scott Wong, it drops, and we are tied at 2. It'll be Marc Williams who toes the line now with the serve. You said it earlier, originally from Australia, but moved over when he was 9, so he's got dual citizenship. Graduate of UCLA, another 26-year-old. So the team of Williams and Wong has got a number of years in front of them if they stay together.
Yeah, and he finished 4th place in Athens. I mean, he was playing for the bronze medal with his partner Julian Prosser. He's taking that confidence right to the AVP Tour.
He was actually a member of the Australian indoor team in 2000. Unable to convert. It falls on the side of Williams and Wong, giving a point to Todd Rogers and Sean Scott. It'll be Todd Rogers' turn to go back. Solvang, California, just north of Santa Barbara. 6'2". He's a veritable midget.
Such a great
I love Todd to death, but you're right, man. It is just, you got to be gigantic. It's like walking around the redwoods out there these days. The net call.
Marc Williams did a nice job of hanging in the air, causing Sean Scott to fly into the net.
We're tied at 3s. Pivotal point as we come to our first side change, which will happen 1 point from now. Scott Wong puts it in. And off that miss hit, we've got 4-3. Marc Williams and Scott Wong, the early lead.
We believe in the great one and the next one. Monday, top draft.
That grass right up.
Scott's Winterizer protects my lawn this winter for a greener lawn next spring.
Hey, talk about green. How does winning $99,000 sound? Just enter the Winterize with Scott sweepstakes for your chance to win $99,000 and many other great prizes. Enter today at winterizewithscotts.com. Protect your lawn now and win with Winterizer.
Hi, I'm Officer David Dupre.
And I'm Officer Matthew Cushing. We work for the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission.
Hundreds of thousands of people have been devastated by Hurricane Katrina. Homes are now in ruins. Loved ones are lost and lives have been changed forever.
Our fellow Americans are in desperate need of food, clothing, shelter, and medicine. Blood supplies are running dangerously low. And relief agencies like the Red Cross will be accepting donations for the months to come.
You can make a difference. Log on to olntv.com to find out how.
We welcome you back to Queens Beach here in Honolulu, Hawaii. Men's semifinal action. Marc Williams puts it in play, even at 7. Game 1, Sean Scott puts it down for a 1-point lead, Geeter.
Sean Scott putting that ball cross court. Now, Sean does such a good job, and he's gotten better and better of passing the ball and getting outside the court and being very patient. Marc Williams talked to me before the game, said, we're going to serve Sean. He thinks he matches up better with Sean Scott. Throughout this tournament, Todd's been getting more serves than usual, but these guys are going to stick it on Sean.
Right there, Sean knew what was going on, but it goes off his hands. He's tooled, and they are tied at 8.
You know, just to talk about Scott Wong, yeah, I asked him, I said, is it hard having your older brother coach you? And he said, no, he absolutely loves it. He loves that his brother pushes him.
Marc Williams gets up. His first block early in game number 1. Good for a 1-point advantage.
Look at Willie, who's a sneaky 6'7". He's got long arms. He actually got that with his right elbow. Not the technique you usually want to practice, but when he's up there that high, comes from the great school of blocking out of UCLA with head coach Al Skates.
4 lead changes, 8 ties. Sean Scott makes it 5 lead changes.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Sean Scott is very strong.
Well, I always knew you had a crystal ball, my friend, but now I know it's definitely not murky. Very clear. It's just prediction right
Everything
there.
he does, whether it's a block or the throw down to the head, it serves, just done with power.
It's absolutely amazing what the AVP crew has done here with this site. I mean, I don't think there's a foot of sand that hasn't gone unused here at Queens Beach.
And on.
TR.
Good touch in the block. Scott!
They went over you.
The mind games begin.
Yeah, Scott Wong was saying there was a touch off the block, so he should have had to come over on 3, but Sean Scott yelling over to Scott Wong. Scott! Giving him the no-no. Both Punaho. Sean older than Scotty, but known each other since they were kids.
That local connection. And you know, it's so great for those of us, of course, that get to come over here for work or anytime you get to come over here, but to be able to call this home, it's pretty special. Just a bit outside.
And they'll let you know about it, too.
Oh, yes. Yes. You mean you're not from around here? That's how I get greeted usually. Oh, you don't say.
We had a great barbecue at the Lambert house the other night.
Oh, see, I'm not on that A-list.
Well, it was Wednesday. You were at home with kids, but Lambert said, yeah, we're just going to have a few people go. There's like 40. That's a few.
That's Hawaiian family, right? Good shot by Sean Scott right there. 11-10, the side change. Of course, 8 teams were here. I've got a moment. Let's take a look at some of the other teams. Of course, the #1 seed was Steinmetzger and Jake Gibb.
Definitely a disappointing finish for Steinmetzger and Jake Gibb. Stein growing up right here in Honolulu. They go out 1-2.
Rosie and Larry Witt almost made it to the semis.
Rosie and Larry Witt, one of those teams that they're always right there. They won a couple of times, but you always wonder if they're ever going to reach their potential and win a few more times.
Matt Berbinger and Casey Jennings came close this weekend as well.
Just didn't close it out. Had an opportunity to force a game 3 against Todd and Sean, but didn't do it.
And finally, the king himself, Karch Karai and Mike Lambert.
Karch Karai and Mike Lambert, most likely the last time they'll ever play together. Lambert and Karch go 1-2 barbecue, they say. They were out after 2 matches. Been 8th to 7th place.
You're right, and we talked about it. I was on that outer court in that last game, and I thought to myself, holy mackerel, is this going to be the way it all ends? You know, I'm watching the last points of Karch Karai out here on an outer court.
Well, after the year Karch has had, he came coming back with Mike Lambert, winning a couple events. I definitely think Karch is going to come back next year, but with Lambert, it's very unlikely, almost impossible. Mike Lambert's going to go international next year. It's time for him to start thinking about Beijing in 08 and making the Olympics, and he needs to go with a younger partner. Karch is going to travel internationally, so most likely they are done.
Karch, 3-time Olympic gold medalist. Nobody has done more for the game of volleyball, let alone beach volleyball. Question, though, I think on everybody's minds, Geeter, is as this season comes to a close, you know, Mike Lambert has shown his dominance. He wins, of course. We take a look at Karch right there, looking fantastic at 44. But, you know, Lambo comes off winning in Vegas. He becomes the king of Vegas, wins that format there on his own. Who does he pick up as a partner?
That's a great question. I'll tell you who the A-list is. It starts with Steinmetzger. Now, Steinmetzger is going to dump Jake Gibb after they've been the #1 team on tour. I don't know. Speculation's out there, but Stein's going to be his #1 choice. If Stein doesn't go with him, then it's going to go down the list. Maybe Sean Rosenthal. That would be a dynamic team, very tough team to stop.
And we saw Sean Rosenthal really come into his own and shine in Las Vegas because of that individual format. Players were able to sort of get a better look at each one individually. And Rosie stepped up.
Right there, a mishandled set by Scott Wong to Marc Williams allows Scott to scoop that up easily and put it away.
And for the first time in this game, game #1, men's semis, we have a 2-point cushion, which, as you said when the rules were stated, you need to win by 2. This game to 21. Todd Rogers holding the rock. He will put it up.
Really lefty. Went to UCLA, was a great outside hitter.
There is another semifinal going on. Geeter 19-16 in favor of Dax Holdert and Jeff Nygaard, playing Nick Lucena and Phil Dahlhauser. Talk about an explosive season. Dahlhauser and Lucena, they're definitely on the map as well now.
Well, there's no question about that. You take a look at Raji delivering that ball cross court off the arms of Scott Wong. Nick and Phil, they now belong. You just expect them to be in the top 8, make those individual tournaments. They are definitely one of the best teams on tour.
Rogers and Scott, 5 of the last 7 points, enabling them to lead 13-11. That point exemplifies the tenacity of this team.
Take a look at some of these covers and digs by Todd Rogers, soccer player growing up. Look at that great dig. Twice the defensive player of the year, but he gets blocked right here. He just goes a little chicken wing. Scott and Marc are not happy right now because they're saying the ball never touched him on the block, so that should be too many contacts.
It's wrong.
How's the line judge call? That was good talk. Let's go.
That is embarrassing. You just admitted it was no touch.
No, I said it might not have gone over eventually, but Marc's arm touched the ball.
It did not come over.
He said the ball might not have.
I can go through the net and touch him, and it's still not.
It's the top of the net too.
Obviously, Geeter, a serious situation, but I gotta make note of Scotty Wong's hat, the spam sponsorship. That's just classic, and if you come to Hawaii, you know the meaning of that right there. That is just fantastic.
You ever seen a more mellow arguer than Scott Wong?
No, not at all.
Just told him, you know, you're embarrassing.
Right, I just think they're a bit wrong. And Marc Williams puts his money where his mouth is right there, finishes it off.
From off the net as well. This is one thing these guys do very well is attack the ball from off the net. Almost identical players, serving, passing. They both played the same position in college. They were recruited at the same time. Marc went to UCLA, Scott went to Pepperdine, the two top recruits in the nation. Didn't know each other in college, just a hello, and we're always opponents. Marc always says, we crushed him down in the NCAA final.
You got to remind him of that, right?
Absolutely. Last year at the banquet, player party, end of the year, Marc Williams said, Scott, we should play together. And Scott said, yeah, let's go to lunch and talk about it. And Marc said, no, let's just get it done now.
Good.
They said they went to PF Chang's, actually, ended up going there. Nailed it out, said, let's play together this year. Great chemistry.
Chemistry working in the favor of TR and Sean Scott at the moment, up by 3.
Line.
It goes down for Scott Wong. They close to within 2 on the side change. 13-15. Let's send it over to court 1, just outside Stadium Court. 2019, Dax Holder and Jeff Nygaard a chance to take game number 1. That is Nick Lucent on the far side about to serve. Dax gets the job done. Game number 1 goes to Dax Holdren and Jeff Nygaard.
Talk about Dax Holdren and Jeff Nygaard. Here's a team that, with a little bit of luck maybe, could have been the team of the year. They were in 5 finals, and on the way to those finals, they've gone to every single Final Four. They look so strong, but they only won 1 time, and that was in Santa Barbara. The other times, they came up short, on occasion fell apart. I think that's definitely been wearing on both of them.
Well, of course, everyone knows the tale of 2 cities. For these guys, it's been a tale of 2 seasons. Dax Holder and Jeff Nygaard early on, as you mentioned, such great success. The second half, they dropped off a little bit, but perhaps Hawaii is their shot at redemption. Geeter, of course, as we look through this semifinal and possibly onto the final. After that, the season's over, so somebody's got to be MVP. Who do you think?
Well, it went from a 2-man race to a 3-man race. It was Jake Gibb, Stein Metzger all the way, but then Mike Lambert coming on strong. Of course, they won in Huntington Beach when he picked back up cards. They went to the finals in Chicago, and then in Vegas, the individual title, Lambo wins. So you always have to keep him in the picture. Jake Gibb, they say, most of the players, they're probably going to vote for Jake because he was the blocker and he got served most of the year, but you can't take away from the year that Stein Metzger had. Number 1 in digs and just played outstanding. It's going to be a real tough decision.
Well, off that point, Marty, you've just given the reasons why you'd pick him, but pick one. You're the man. Let me know. Who do you think takes it home? You'll be at the banquet. You might even hand out the
I do
trophy.
not have a vote. I would give it to myself if I did.
Well, if I had a vote,
never
I'd
lost
vote
a
for
final.
you too. Right? No, you never have. No. Absolutely. So who do you think? Does it go to Steino? Does it go to Jake? Or does Lambo?
I'm going to say Jake Gibb wins.
All right. There you go. You all heard it here on OLN First. Jake Gibb, according to Geeter, will be the MVP. Most valuable player for 2005. 4 men on court right now, though, could possibly care less about the MVP of the season. They want to be MVP of the Paul Mitchell Best of the Beach. At the moment, Rogers and Scott hold a narrow margin ahead of Williams and Wong. We are in game number 1.
Change it.
Big power from the right side. TR.
17.
We've talked, of course, about the Punahou connection, the local Hawaiian connection. 2 out of 4 guys went to Punahou High School, and there you see it, Scotty Wong, Sean Scott.
Lambo.
So, Geeter, here's a trivia question for you. What other great athlete currently goes to Punahou High School right now? Not volleyball necessarily, but another fantastic athlete at Punahou as we speak. Maybe not right now since the weekend.
I'm going to say Soji's son, the coach for Hawaii women's team.
That is let me just put you on the spot. There's a very narrow-minded guess. I'll give you that as a guess. However, I gave you the hint. I said not necessarily volleyball. So with that in mind, take another stab at it, partner. Good. All right, he's shaking his head. No, who knows? Our statistician, Doug Strauss, of course, just said to me, Michelle Wee. And that is it.
I said it before he showed me.
Oh, did he? Okay, I don't know. On court, it's getting serious. We're close to 21. Scott Wong.
I was very narrow-minded, though. I must say, I was thinking volleyball the
Your
whole time.
focus is in the game. I like that about you.
#1 recruit in the nation on the boys' side volleyball.
Okay, all right. Catamaran sailing in on the horizon. This is all good. It's hard not to have your mind on Hawaii.
I actually have a terrible view
at the moment. Yes, that's true. Darn it. 15 serving 18. Off-speed shot by TR puts it down.
I mean, does Michelle Wee really have to go to school, though? I mean, that's honestly.
Well, hey, your guess is good as mine. You know she's going to turn pro. We all know that. It's just a matter of time. Then what do you do?
I used to teach the Olsen twins, and I never saw them for 4 years. I saw them one time.
Right. Well, when you make millions of dollars in your home school, do you really have to do your homework?
No. You should.
Well,
but you don't have to.
Okay. I was just going to say, you either pay somebody to do it for you or you pay your tutor off and just say, put a little A down there for me. That's all I want. 2 points away from winning this first game. Sean Scott and Todd Rogers have been systematic in game number 1.
The dig is just silly by Raji. I know they didn't get the point, but
it looks as though his hands are actually in the sand.
This is he just gets his platform underneath that ball and pops it straight up with both hands. That is so tough to do. But he just didn't get the right set. Sean Scott tried to get it up there. So they had to give him a free ball back to Willie, and he ends up terminating.
The southpaw puts it down. Great swing off the left hand. He has the serve. They need to make a move. Very close to ending this game number 1. If there's not a touch, that was out, and sure enough, we're all of a sudden into within 2. 2 points by Williams and Wong has closed the gap. You know, statistically, Williams and Wong are a team that really isn't up there, so to speak, Geeter, on the charts, but what is it that they do so well that keeps them in these matches?
They're steady. They're a steady side-out team, which means they receive serve well. They're both good passers. Ball control team.
We just got a lift called on TR, so now we're within 1. And this game 1 has certainly changed complexion in the latter stages. What looked to be a runaway for Rogers and Scott now all of a sudden is a very close contest. Marc Williams and Scott Wong have closed the gap. Will be more from game 1 after this.
This is their world, with 31 points of view you've never heard, past 31 borders you've never crossed, and 31 histories you need to know. That's 31 ways to see it through their eyes. Experience the world beyond our borders. 31 shows, 31 nights. Now is the time to globalize yourself. All this month, only on History International. Call your cable or satellite provider.
Find out what it feels like when the job you're looking for finds you. Employers search Monster every day looking for the right candidates. But you can't be found unless you post your resume. Support Post your resume today in just a few clicks and let employers find you.
Three climate zones.
How's he doing back there?
3 rows of seats. So everyone can travel in comfort.
He's fine.
The all-new 7-passenger Jeep Commander. It's your world. Take command.
Find exactly the new car you're looking for. Search actual inventories across the U.S. or within a few miles online at vx.com. Roadmap to the automotive world.
The battle in Seattle. Western versus Central. The Wells Fargo Battle in Seattle, presented by Comcast at Quest Field, is Saturday, October 8th at 6 p.m. The game last year was a nail-biter, so get your seat early and root your team on. With tickets ranging from $15 to $35, it's an event the whole family can enjoy. Call Ticketmaster at 628-0888 for tickets. It's Western versus Central. The Wells Fargo Battle in Seattle, presented by Comcast.
We welcome you back. Perfect conditions. Paul Mitchell, AVP Best of the Beach here in Honolulu, Hawaii. We are on Queens Beach, and we have just seen a 3-0 run out of Marc Williams and Scott Wong. Late in game number 1, they have closed the gap. They are down by 1, 18-19. Finally, Sean Scott ends that run with conviction, bringing them close.
That's a smart timeout. Sometimes you give up 3 in a row and you look at the other guy and you don't want to talk about it. You say, let's just go. But that was a smart timeout. They went over, they sat there, they talked about it. Sean Scott gathered himself, came out, hit that hard cross-court shot that he always does. Now they have game point.
And you go back right to doing what you know how to do. I mean, as dumb as it sounds, it's not brain surgery out there. These guys know exactly how to do it right. Great job by Marc Williams to set just a little bit off the net, Geeter, but he converted well.
He did, and we talked about what they do well as a team. They're both very poised volleyball players as well. They don't get erratic. They always have that same kind of demeanor, calm.
This is game point. Scott Wong serves it up. Chance for Sean Scott and Todd Rogers to be a step closer to the final. Big hit. Sean Scott converts. And there it is, 21-19 in favor of Scott and Rogers. 6-2 run. Gave him control at 14-11, and then they were just steady from there. And there we see Scott Wong coming in, getting a little bit of shade, but he's got a special guest here. We've talked about that Hawaiian family, Geeter. His grandmother is here, 99 years old. She's going to be 100. There she is. She's been a fan of the AVP longer than anybody. 100 years old in April. Well done, Popo.
99.
That, you know what? I hope I'm around then.
I know I won't be.
Here she is, cheering on her favorite AVP volleyball player. What a season it's been to cheer on your favorite. So many stops. Next season going to be even better on the AVP Nissan Series, Geeter.
Who do you think Popo roots for when Scott plays Kevin?
I think there's money that changes hands. Popo not afraid to, you know, just to work the green room a little bit. So now, Scott Wong, Marc Williams have to regroup. That was a close game 1, but that doesn't mean anything. They need game 2 if they want to stay in this and have a shot at that finals. They have not made a finals all season long. They have come close.
Well, in Tempe, they were the first team ever to come out of the qualifier. They lost their first round match to Crying Lambeau and then came storming back all the way to the Final Four. They played about 10 or 11 matches.
I was just going to say it was a ridiculous number of matches in 2 days.
We saw him right here on the OLN, actually.
Yep, still able to stand up and keep counting at the end of 2 days. There you see the lovely Hawaiian water. Let's Let's take a look at those Nissan Series final standings, how those 8 teams got here. We've talked about that top team on tour, Gibbon, Mexico, Geeter, but there are Todd Rogers and Sean Scott, really close.
And if you look at the final 4, it's the 2, 6, 7, and 8. I'm sorry, just scratched Karai out of there, but Holter and I got receded 6 going into this match. That's parity on the men's side. And, you know, Rogers and Scott didn't play every event together because Todd Rogers was coaching UC Santa Barbara men's volleyball. They were in the playoffs. He missed a couple of tournaments.
Sean Scott, of course, went picked up a couple other partners. Did he play? Was it Jason Ring?
Played with Jason Ring.
Yep.
Rogers came out and played with 3 Pretty ones because Sean had already signed up with Jay Ring.
Think about that, back in April. That's a long time ago, my friend, but it just goes to show. I mean, we joke sometimes how it's a soap opera on tour, but it really takes a lot for these teams to stay together over the course of a season because they all want to be the best.
Yeah, to take a look at Furby Jennings, Rosie Witt, these guys have been together 3 years. You go through some ups and downs.
AVP, of course, will start up again next April. It looks as though Fort Lauderdale will be the site this year. 14 events next year, however, Geeter, we're building. Leonard Armato, the CEO, of course, commissioner of the league. He's added 2 events. We'll have 16 next year. So
16
partner
events.
We might see each other a couple extra weekends.
God, that's good for you.
That will be fantastic. That is good for me that I get to sit here with you. It's been a fun year here on OLN.
That's about 16 more dinners that Jack Graham could buy us.
Oh, on his salary, he could buy the whole crew dinners for the rest of the year. Down the line. And he just dished it up for Scotty Wong.
Raji and Scott both got caught at the net.
Well, that's one of those points where you just scramble, you sort of lose track where you are.
Look at the dig, though, by Raji. And Scott Wong, what a great job right there. Double arm lift. You know, he gets both arms back and then both arms up. Call that your last 2 steps, step close, right to the ball. A little delivery. Now he's chatting it up with Sean Scott.
Scott Wong been playing volleyball for a very long time. Now coaching volleyball, assistant coach at Pepperdine.
Yes, and he was coaching the Oaks Christian girls team and boys team. Thousand Oaks last season.
Are you tight? Hit it, jump! I got you. Good, you're up again. Go!
Somehow Sean Scott managed to get that over.
I think Scott would be a phenomenal coach. Obviously, he was tutored under Marv Dunphy from Pepperdine University. So he'd be a great coach when he wants to do it. Take a look at Sean Scott's triple shot. That is perfect.
Well, we see all these players with textbook shots. Shaka brother. That's right. Hang loose. This good.
Think about that shot. If that ball goes any higher, it's an easy dig for Scott Wong.
Good.
Well, as you see in any sport, the ace right there, the best make it look easy, don't they?
The line judge actually called that out. Now the ref, Daryl Friesen, called it in.
That's the latest news.
Ooh. It didn't help that Scotty Wong moved the tape out as he hit, but we'll leave that up to the judges, let's just say. We have the benefit, of course, of the old IR, instant replay. 3-1 the score. Early game number 2, of course, Williams and Wong have to win this to stay in the match.
Good. Watch it.
Miss hit right there by Scott Wong. Let's go down to Mary once again.
Well, Craig, I overheard Kevin Wong telling Wong and Williams to take more chances on their serve. Wong was moving his serve around short and deep earlier in game 1 for some bad passes, but then he stopped. Also look for more jump serve from Williams. Their key strategy for game 2 is serving tough.
Thanks, Mary. Well, they haven't had much of a chance this game to implement that strategy.
Come on. No one.
It goes down. And the partners give each other props.
You know, Mary makes a great point. I talked to Marc and Scott before the game, and they both have great jump serves, but they've just been keeping it in, staying on the ground a lot more and floating because they've been scoring points. But now, just like Kevin said in the timeout, you have to go for points. You got to serve tough. What a great up by Willie.
Well, and some of the things, wouldn't you agree, some of the things you do early on in a tournament, when you get to games like this, you got to pull something out. You got to try to do something different.
Yeah, you have to adjust during games, too, if something's not working.
Go! No one, he's up.
It's Long.
Just Long.
No touch. So a chance to close within one goes the opposite way. They now find themselves down by 3, 5-2, early in game number 2.
This Wednesday, Survivor on OLN is moving to a new night and heading back to the beach. Wow! Dive into Survivor Marquesas.
It's gonna be hardcore.
This is no vacation in paradise.
No food, no fire help from us at any time.
It's a survival of the fittest, the sneakiest,
I'm really shocked.
the baddest.
Everybody was like, we team, we team.
And then there's Boston Rob.
First chance I get, I'm gonna get you.
Survivor Wednesdays, Marquesas. 3 episodes back-to-back. Begins this Wednesday at 7 p.m. on OLN.
Tell me you didn't invite him.
Great taste, great times.
AutoZone's Get in the Zone quiz. Is this A, a garden tool, B, modern art, or C, a crankshaft for a 93 F-150? If you said C, congratulations, you're already in the zone. AutoZone, with over 750,000 parts to get the job done right. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Joe, you're glad we got the Durango, right?
Of course.
And you liked all the money we saved when we bought it, right?
Got us a bigger boat.
And you like all the room and the ride?
Sure.
Oh, and how about the Hemi engine and the DVD player and the hands-free cell? Then why won't you use the navigation system?
I'm not lost.
Dodge Durango.
This is starting to look familiar.
It's a lot of great stuff for a great price.
Help victims of Hurricane Katrina and thousands of other disasters across the country each year.
We welcome you back to Queens Beach. Craig Hummer, Chris McGee, and Mary Strong. Early in game 2, Rogers and Scott won game 1, and now they lead by 3, 5-2.
Good set by Marc Williams. Now, if there's one thing I would want this team to improve on over the offseason is their setting. Both bump set. Great passers, very comfortable with their forearms. I just think they do every skill so well that it's a team that definitely can win on the AVP Tour.
They just need that breakthrough moment, don't they?
Absolutely. Coming any time, too. When you get to that final, you never know when you're going to get back.
Todd Rogers and Sean Scott have had more than a breakthrough moment this season. Boulder, they were able to win, and what a weekend that was. Sean Scott, of course, dates Rachel Wacholder. She and her partner, Elaine Youngs, won the women's title there, so they paid the mortgage that weekend.
Yeah, I told them that's a nice payday for the two of them.
We see it again. Shawnee Scott just out of nowhere.
He swats shots better than anybody. We talked about it earlier in the match, and here he does it again. Watch him hang. Takes that arm back and will just throw it.
Just one arm. Few people can block with 2. He just does it with 1. And there you see the titles they've had this season, Boulder, and then of course Chicago, the final event of the Nissan Series. That was televised by NBC. Triple points.
It took Sean a while to break in. Came on the tour in 1999, played with Matt Unger, his Rookie of the Year. Been to a couple finals with Albert Hanneman, 2001. Then he got the chance to play with Rogers, made a couple finals and lost. So last year in Tempe, he won his first event and won the Best of the Beach title here in Hawaii. And now this year, two more titles. So Sean is on his way.
This is his 108th tournament, so he certainly has been around for a while.
Go, go. He's out line.
Sean's a guy that has the ability to be an MVP in this league.
It was funny, I was on the sideline yesterday just standing next to some random person, huge fan of the AVP, and all of a sudden they leaned over to another friend of theirs and they were looking at Sean Scott and they just looked at each other and said, "That guy's massive."
He is. I mean, you just look at the guy.
He's a big boy. 6'5", but he's just thick. A lot of volleyball players, you look at the Phil Dahlhausers, the Nick Lucennas, they're like greyhounds.
Probably be a good pro wrestler.
I was just going to say, Sean's like the Hulk.
Yeah.
Puts all that muscle to good use. And they lead by 3 in game 2.
Another massive guy that we talked about earlier in the year that did not play this year due to injury, George Romaine, is supposed to come back next year and play. So
coming off of that back injury.
Yeah. Moving his refrigerator. Hopefully next time he pays somebody to do that.
Line. Thank you. And line. Come on, Wong. Come on, Scott. No one. And line. Come on. No one. Yes. Come on. No one. Good.
All right, partner. I leave the predictions usually to you, but I will say that is the longest rally we have seen all weekend. That takes us to the outside court. Remember, Dax Holdren and Jeff Nygaard won game 1, and Nick Lucenna arguing that call. He gets it to go his way. B. Lee up there in the booth, but you see the lead is certainly going Holdren and Nygaard's way. They are match point, leading 20-15 in this second game.
It's like Dax and Jeff are going to be in final number 6. 13 team events this year.
And that's great for those guys. I mean, both such unassuming guys, just very nose to the grindstone, sort of attitude about, put the work in and those rewards will come. And right there off the hands, the tool does it. Dax Holdren and Jeff Nygaard have advanced. The first game, of course, 21-19. The second one, 21-16. So we've got a team in the finals here in Hawaii. And it is Dax Holdren and Jeff Nygaard. Now all remains to be seen is who's going to meet him, Geeter.
Ted Nugent, celebrating the American dream, and my show, Wanted Tedder Live, is coming to OLN. This is the only show where even the winners don't lose her. You know, I love the sound of sizzling bacon, but this is my new favorite bacon sound. It'll never be the same.
I'm very proud of my lawn. In the fall, I use Scott's Winterizer. The food enters the root system, stores it over the winter. Then in the spring, perks that grass right up.
Scott's Winterizer protects my lawn this winter for a greener lawn next spring.
Hey, talk about green. How does winning $99,000 sound? Just enter the Winterize with Scott sweepstakes for your chance to win $99,000 and many other great prizes. Enter today at winterizewithscotts.com. Protect your lawn now and win with Winterizer.
Three climate zones.
How's he doing back there?
3 rows of seats, so everyone can travel in comfort.
He's fine.
The all-new 7-passenger Jeep Commander. It's your world. Take command.
To the right. More right. Left. Left. More left. Back to the right. More right.
What you wish you could do in real life.
Left.
Now you can do at the all-new, completely redesigned VHIX.com. The all-new VHIX.com. Roadmap to the automotive world.
Introducing the commuter's new best friend, Como 4 local news and programming now available on demand. Watch the 5 p.m. and 11 p.m. news and Northwest Afternoon on your schedule. And if you have digital cable, you can already get it. Just select On Demand, then Como 4. You can even pause, rewind, or fast forward your selection anytime you want. It's TV your way with on-demand television only from Comcast. Comcast, changing the way you watch TV.
Aloha, everybody. The Paul Mitchell AVP Best of the Beach men's semi going on. Todd Rogers and Sean Scott won game 1. They lead game 2. Way to find the corner by Marc Williams.
It's a great deep hit. It's flat and it's hard. Goes by the block of Sean Scott and over the shoulder of Todd Rogers into the corner. Not an easy shot, especially from off the net.
We could say it every time, but it bears repeating. Marc Williams, Scott Wong, they need to get something going. Now is the time to make a rally, to make a run. Down by 4.
Well, it's all going to start with a serve. They can't get him in trouble that way. It's going to be very difficult to stop Sean and Todd because they're in a great rhythm.
Well, right, and that's the closest, though, with that serve. Again, to go back to what Mary hinted at earlier in her report, they got to go after it, and they good job there. They tried to, almost got him out of position, but you got to be perfect or close to perfect if you're going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, Sean did such a good job of bettering the ball right there. Todd's pass was tight and fast into the net, but Sean got himself under it, popped it right up perfect for Raji.
Big hit. Scott Wong does it. Throws it down there. You see Kevin, his brother, their coach, and sometimes competitor. Scott Wong able to eliminate his brother Kevin Geeter, as you mentioned, in that last tournament in Chicago. Earned that trip down here to Hawaii to the Paul Mitchell Best of the Beach. Heads up play by Todd. Saw the opening, seized it, seized the opportunity. They've got a 5-point lead. And at this point, it goes without saying, you just can't trade points, can you, Geeter?
No, you have to side out every single time when you're receiving serve, and now you have to start scoring points every time you serve. At least 1 or 2 to get yourself closer and closer.
If you're Marc Williams and Scott Wong, let's say this plays out, they side out the rest of the way, and they don't get to the final. Do you still call this season a success?
Yeah, 100% yes. Just to make it to this event, top 18. You take a look at the men's side, there's 18. I mean, you're in some good company there. And to take down Metzger, given the first round, get to the Final Four in the last event, means you're getting better as the year went on.
And that's, I guess, isn't it the key for any of these teams? You want to go into that off season on a high. I mean, certainly you got some time off, you can say what you want, but it always helps to win that last one, or at least walk away knowing you had a great season.
You got it, Marc? Right there, line, listen, yes!
The professor telling him listen, and he did it. Going back to the point,
you know, Willie was in a great spot. This set's just a little off the net, so they enabled Scott to get it back, and he listened to his partner as Rogers was yelling, "Listen, line!" He shoots it down the line.
That's about the 5th or 6th point we've seen Williams and Wong do something exceptional. However, it's Rogers and Scott that come away with the point. Bam! Off the block, it falls good for a big lead. 17-11. And Geeter, we take another look. Sean Scott goes up. He's done it all season long. How about them apples? Sean Scott, Todd Rogers, they're in the lead.
We believe in the great one and the next one. Monday, top draft pick Sidney Crosby makes his national debut. We believe this penguin will fly.
Crosby turns on the jet.
And on Tuesday, the great one sets up in his new office. But it's Mike Modano and the Dallas Stars who look to take care of business. We believe in shooting stars.
He scored!
The NHL on OLN. Penguin Sabres, Coyote Stars, Monday and Tuesday, live. This is their world, with 31 points of view you've never heard, past 31 borders you've never crossed, and 31 histories you need to know. That's 31 ways to see it through their eyes. Experience the world beyond our borders. 31 shows, 31 nights. Now is the time to globalize yourself. All this month, only on History International. Call your cable or satellite provider.
Class of '94. Here I come.
When you want to make a good impression, Enterprise Rent-A-Car will pick you up free and get you going in style.
Looking good, Moose.
Pick Enterprise. We'll pick you up.
Gear up and get out with OLN and the Dodge Durango Ultimate On the Road Adventure Sweepstakes. Enter online from October 3rd to November 20th at olntv.com/Durango for your chance to win this grand prize adventure travel package. Grab life by the horns with an all-new 2006 Dodge Durango Adventurer with unique interior amenities, a distinctive exterior appearance, and your choice of a Thule Carrier or Dodge Adventure Kit. It's the perfect SUV for your ultimate outdoor adventures. Dive into an OLN family adventure snorkeling trip and submerge yourself into a 4-day trip for 4 in Key Largo, Florida. Then spend $5,000 from Gander Mountain on leading outdoor equipment and apparel. Fill Dodge Durango Adventure's best-in-class interior room and get on the road. Dodge Durango Ultimate On the Road Adventure Sweepstakes, October 3rd to November 20th. Go to olntv.com/Durango and enter for your chance to win today.
Jeez, that's a big truck.
What's with you and these pancakes? Hey, bro.
It has the world's biggest cab. The all-new Dodge Ram Mega Cab.
Where's the truck?
Yeah, it's that big.
Queens Beach in Honolulu, Hawaii, the location, the season finale. Paul Mitchell, best of the beach action. Men's semis here on OLN. Sean Scott, Todd Rogers just a few points away. And Sean Scott, before he went to break, ended it with a block. He does it right there, Geeter, his 5th of this match.
Sean Scott starting to take over right here on his home beach, Honolulu, Hawaii.
Last
year's this team so dangerous. The defense of Rogers and the blocking of Sean Scott. It's very difficult to side out on them and score points against them.
The placement just not there for Scott Wong. It goes wide, and we're within 2. Huge gap has formed between these two teams in game 2. Rogers and Scott now lead by 8.
2 points away from having a final that is a rematch of a match we had yesterday with Holdren and Nygaard coming out on top of Rogers and Scott in 3.
Right in the middle, right in the middle.
Sean Scott gets up and over again. That pressing, that extension over the net, and we are at match point. It was close for a while, but now the lead has blossomed for Todd Rogers and Sean Scott. And they will have many chances to close this out. Wait just a little bit longer. You see Geeter and Dax Holdren perched on the stage. He is studying every movement at the moment because he will meet the winner in our final.
He knows the team of Rogers and Scott very well.
And it's official. Good play. Sean Scott puts it down.
TV.